Hi guys, hope you're enjoying your bank holiday Monday. Welcome to your screencast for tomorrow's lesson. What we're going to be focusing on today and in tomorrow's lesson is periodisation. Okay, so with regards to the specification, what you need to be aware of are, first of all, periodisation. Think of it as periods of training. Okay, so period here, so split into periods of training in blocks. Okay, that's what we're going to be looking at. And what we need to be aware of are macrocycles, mesocycle, microcycle, okay, within periodization. Then we're going to be looking at phases of training, so preparatory, competitive, and transition, and then, as well as tapering to optimize performance and how to plan personal health and fitness programs for each of the principles of training. I'm going to be focused on this during the screencast, okay. So first of all, what is periodization? It's the division of training into specific blocks. Each block is known as a cycle and has a specific goal. Okay, that's the main thing I want to get down in regard to periodization. Don't have to get this information down here, but it's just important so you can actually know the aim of it. So the aim of periodization is to ensure the performer reaches their physiological peak at the correct time, they avoid injury and burnout, and their training is structured to give realistic goals. But the main part there is to get what periodization actually is the definition of it, and it's the division of training into specific blocks. So we're going to learn now about macrocycle, mesocycle, and microcycle, and this is just the way you're going to remember it. Okay, so what comes first? You think of the alphabet. You've got the A, the E, and the I in order like that. So macrocycle comes first, then you've got a mesocycle, you've got a microcycle at the end. These are to achieve the macrocycle. So we'll go through it anyway. So periodization, so a macrocycle. This is your long-term training plan. Okay, and it's aimed at achieving a long-term goal. So typically lasting from 6 months to four years, but usually a year. So an example of this would be training for a marathon. And then microcycles, these are broken down into several mesocycles. A mesocycle is a mid-term or medium-term training plan over 1 to 4 months. Its aim is to achieve a mid-term goal that hopefully would ensure that you're going to train your macro, you're going to kind of like get your macro cycle, you're going to get the main goal from here. So it'd be, for example, if you're using a marathon here, your midterm goal might be to improve your aerobic capacity. And it says the plan's over 1 to 4 months, and that is what a mesocycle is, medium. Okay, and then after or before a mesocycle, we have mesocycles are broken down into several micro cycles. These are a short-term training plan over 1 to 3 weeks, aimed at achieving a short-term goal, e.g., perform interval training, continuous training, or fartlek training. Then finally, each microcycle is split up into individual sessions, okay, which could be fitness or skill based. So that is what periodization is split into. These are the blocks, and as you've got here, it's got 1 year because typically it really is a year. 4 years, now you've got to think a lot of Olympic athletes would go on periodization programs. Their macro cycle, their long term goal would be to go to the next Olympic Games, and that's a 4 year wait. So their training program would be around a 4 year program essentially, and that's how they actually plan it so they don't fatigue, they don't tire, they don't injure, they don't burn out, and they're hitting peak physical fitness within 4 years. Within that, one of their goals might be to win at the European Championships within a year's time, and then obviously there'll be loads of different little macro cycle, mesocycles, and microcycles within this whole big one. Is the 4 year goal one to keep athletes motivated. So for a performer, there are three main seasons within a competitive year. What you need to be aware as well. So first of all, preparatory phase, which is pre-season essentially. This is phase one. It's just general conditioning, aerobic training, strength training, and so on. You are just doing your general conditioning before your actual season starts. Phase two, training is overloaded, so intensity increases. Now remember, with regards to our FIT principles, frequency, intensity, time, and type. So this increases, okay, to achieve overload. It is sport-specific fitness, and then towards the very end of your pre-season phase or preparatory phase, you're going to be doing practice games, for example, for rugby players. Sport-specific fitness, you're not going to be doing your whole pre-season in a swimming pool if you're a rugby player, if it's not specific to running, to taking contact, and so on. You've also got your competitive phase, which is your competition season, and the main aim of this really is to maintain fitness and avoid injury. So phase three, you're going to be like strategy, tactics, and gameplay is the main focus. Training load reduces intensity to avoid injury, apart from endurance athletes where high intensity training will be continued. Now you have to think, imagine if let's use a Premier League football for example. It's a long season. Imagine if footballers, their training sessions during season are at high intensity, kind of very competitive edge to it. It's going to increase the risk of injury, which you don't want as an athlete at all, because you want to continue so you can actually play in the games, so on. Phase 4, tapering, which is what we spoke about on the specifications. This occurs to achieve peak performance 2 or 3 weeks before competition. Training load is reduced and rest increased to maximise fuel stores. That's a really good example here for a marathon runner who would do carbo loading, for example. Transition phase, transition season, active rest and recuperation, low intensity aerobic work, treatment of injuries, training load gradually increases when approaching the preparatory phase once more. So here it is as a cycle. It's just an ongoing cycle throughout. So you can get your notes on that, and then we'll divulge in more detail tomorrow's lesson, and we'll do a few more things to hopefully get this um, in your head for your exams next week, or the week after, I should say. Sorry. Right. See you later. Thank you. Bye.